And it looks like we're actually inside game number 1. So pretty keen to switch on over and see what's up. There it is. Game number 1 of Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2020, guys. In the bottom right here, the Polish Terran, represented by Makers. He is souL. And do you want me to we didn't even talk about this. Am I doing both intros?
Oh, I assumed you would. I mean,
okay,
who wants a zombie grab intro?
I do. So you can do game 2. And the top left here, Infinity Gaming's French Zerg, Denver. Nearly called him a Terran.
I mean, I wouldn't have.
He would have punched me in the mouth for that, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so there's, I mean, so many things to talk about with the TVZ matchup. You know, I said I wasn't going to overload you guys, and I still don't. But since we, apparently don't have a T-Rex on the way.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a CC first, actually. So,
yeah,
whoop, okay.
Very, very uncommon. But,
yeah.
You know, he's going to get away with it, I feel. If you go hatch gas pool, Denver's not going to do anything, early aggressive, anything like that. You can get away with this on Triton. It is still a pretty long rush distance, even though there is a parade push. But getting to the natural Zerg is still, it's quite a ways away.
Yeah,
so.
it looks like a map that would be actually one of the smaller ones, but it's only below Eternal Empire. So
right.
That's actually pretty long. But it gets a lot different because when we start talking about the way that you push and defend, which is a very key factor in Bio TVZ, then Triton suddenly becomes a shorter map because you're kind of considering pushing from the souL's aggressive third, the one that's in front of the space right here, into Denver's fourth, usually. So that just brings it way closer.
Now, I don't see Twitch chat. We actually have no preview monitors, but I do know there's going to be a few people out there that are like, what is this interface? Let me help you out. The little wrench, that is the workers. The one next to that with the army badge, a little like, I think it's like a corporal badge with a star, maybe a star, I can't remember the ranks, but that is the army supply. And then minerals and gas bank. And to the far right is upgrades for all you guys watching from home. Obviously nothing just yet. It's the grand beginning of the game, which is why I felt safe to talk about it, because literally nothing is happening right now. There's a Reaper fast expand here, a pretty standard opening from Denver as well. 4 Lings, getting those queens out, the spawning pool finishing up, and heading for that 2.5-minute third.
Yeah, we have seen souL do some pretty greedy stuff. Like, a Command Center first really is just not very popular. A third CC after factory is also not that popular, but obviously they do happen. But I have been seeing more of the faster thirds after factory as opposed to the CC first. So I'm like curious as to what this is going to bump forward rather for souL, like how this is going to affect what is a very common 2-tank push, but is usually off that 1 rock CC. So. I mean, I'm not sure what the difference will be, but you are supposed to get a little bit of that boost in the early game.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that really does carry through. Denver is not going to be able to scout this. Even if he was early pooling, by the way, guys, like there's actually, the Command Center finish is so fast that you just lift it and you're like, all right, cool, you made 6 Lings.
Actually, a couple things to talk about is, because we've seen so many hundreds, if not thousands of TVZs in the last couple patches, and it's so uncommon to see CC first that everything, all the timings and everything that we're used to seeing in the Army Council, the Working Council we used to be seeing are going to be off ever so slightly. But it is still going to round out to a 1-1-1 build, and souL not stopping with the greed. He's got his foot on that greed pedal, getting that third command center pretty quickly as well, with that Reaper just heading across the map now for his first bit of information. And Denver even going Overlord speed here, so investing a fair bit of resources into safety.
I wonder if you even try and you cancel that when you see a fast third CC. I mean, there is still stuff to look at afterwards. I mean, the biggest thing would probably be Bio versus Mech, right? So it's not bad to have Overlord speed, and he is going to let it complete. But that does kind of suck. I mean, souL basically did the greediest thing you can really do. It was that third CC after factory plus a CC first. I guess actually I won't say that's the greediest thing. I think the greediest thing might have been not adding that starport, but rather adding a second barracks, which he actually showed us in a previous match versus Denver in an online cup. But he does go up to the 1-1-1, so he gets a Banshee without Cloak, and that's actually very safe against early Roach pushes. It does help against Lings a tiny bit, but that's not really what they're for. And enough Hellions basically to scout. Actually, did he have 2 or 4 Hellions? How greedy was he? Okay, so 4. So yeah, literally 2 to scout, and then hopefully they never get surrounded. And 4 is kind of the bare minimum to feel very safe against any Ling swells. Yeah,
until you get that wall up and a good amount of Bio. And there's that Speedy Overlord flying on into the main of the Terran, getting a look at the infrastructure, confirming that it is Bio. Stim is being researched, and the extra barracks is being thrown down. So just a few Hellions for a little bit of vision, very little bit of map control for the Terran, as the Zerg's not really got any presence apart from Overlords over there. And then going into the 3 racks Bios. Actually, excuse me, already going up to 5, and that's because of that fast third base. So plenty of production here for the Terran. He's hiding those extra 4th and 5th barracks, though.
That is...
It's interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, the Overlord has some speed anyways. It's quite a weak Overlord, but there's not much to kill it.
Yeah.
2 Marines going to be enough here. So he's... I mean, this is actually... the Banshee was not the most useful, but it does suck to just lose it.
A questionable Banshee by souL.
Yeah, it was safe though. It was very safe.
Yeah.
But I guess what it like. Unless Denver is very familiar with this build and has faced this, previous times against other Terrans or souL, I guess you really would be kind of like in the dark about how many barracks at what time, right? Like these guys know insane details about builds. Doesn't mean they know literally everything based off of half information, which he currently has. So to hide those is actually pretty cool. It is still going to go into, actually, is he going to push? He won't have 1-1 combat shields like he usually would around the time. I'm actually not sure about that. We'll see in about literally a minute if he goes through the middle of the map. But that is the power, usually, the powerful strat.
Usually against Spyro, Denver will like to play Ling Bane Muta, so kind of expecting a Spyro coming up here. He's sort of rounding out to look like he's going in that direction. He's got the macro hatch on the main as well, so it at least means a lot of Ling Bane, possibly Spyro, possibly not. Have seen just players go straight into lots of Ling Bane and foregoing like that tier 2 tech.
Is he stopped building SCVs that's purpose? It's gonna be like a fake
it does look like
thing?
it. So maybe the third CC is right there, and it is real, but no workers at it. He's got a big push coming out, Zombie Grub.
Oh, okay. I believe in the push, and it is going to be that 2 tanks with the third on the way. So it's pretty darn powerful, and it's actually even a little bit sooner. I would say that 1-1's not going to be done. Combat shields also, I don't believe, started.
No, it's just
this is a little bit faster, but it does have a lot of power in the behind us. You do have a third CC, but you're definitely not focusing on it. This actually, the fake third for a Terran I haven't seen since, I feel like Ryung was doing it a while ago. But that is pretty cool. Is it really going to be powerful enough, though? Denver knew an attack like this was going to be on the way, and it's about buying time for that Baneling speed. Once you have Baneling speed, you're going to try and get as many surrounds as possible, if the Terran really lets you, but this is already taking a little while, this actually isn't threatening anything quite yet, just in the middle of the map.
He's been pushing back creep, so clearly souL wants to take this high ground here and start sieging up his tanks just to that left lip, just to the north of those rocks. Big reinforcement here, grabbing everything from that natural. A third, still a barren wasteland. It's just being loaded down there. It's basically a giant flying supply depot that can scan. And the Zerg looking for us around here as Baneling speed should be getting closer here for Denver. He's got a bunch of Lings going through the middle of the map, catching reinforcements.
That's a good move, but I think Denver really was surprised at how there's so much Terran actually, but it's a lot on creep there. The tanks do blast away most of the Banelings. How many in reserve? The Lings actually came back. So the Banelings, there's 4 of them remaining. Wow. They do get the target on the Marines, but is it enough for Denver?
That's the thing, it's just a lot more Marines than he was expecting here. He's dropped his Spyro, he's caught teching up with the push coming through the middle of the map. That third base is still in a lot of trouble, even though he had some decent Baneling connections. The Terran is still piling on the pressure, and there's more blues streaming through the middle.
I mean, this is exactly what can happen to a Zerg player who thinks that they got it. If they don't have those Banelings in reserve, then anything left over from the Terran suddenly snowballs very, very quickly. And I feel like this certainly has snowballed. Denver, he still has that drone count, but he might lose a third. He's certainly not mining from it. He needs to actually clean this up and push this back.
The Banelings are all gone. He's only morphing a couple more. I think this might be it. Zombie Grub, just so much bio and not enough Zerglings. He's bringing in everything he's got here on the front door, but it's just trickling right into the meat grinder. Terran is going to find it easy to target fire those Banes, and it's just all souL for game number 1. GG! The Polish Terran taking the first map of the first best of 3 of this tournament in a pretty entertaining game.
That was a pretty brutal build, that's probably something he did have in his back pocket. He's been waiting to use that on a map like Triton exactly as well. And Denver was just not prepared. He was up to 83 drones, which might actually be comfortable against something that's a little less powerful, maybe off of not such quick thirds and natural CCs. But it was just so much. And he also maybe there is some mistiming as well. Maybe there's a chance he actually does hold that if everything worked out perfectly. But I think he kind of went for the whole, I think I have a surround here. I'm going to try and take that gamble to actually entirely clean it up. And then if it doesn't, as I said, just a couple of things are left. 4 Marines, a tank, 2 medevacs. Suddenly it does snowball.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a lot more than 4 Marines. It's a dozen Marines gunning down the third base with no drones there, and just 3 or 4 Banelings flying on him, which is an easy target fire for a player as good as souL. It's really cool to see that build. That is definitely a non-standard TVZ opening from the Terran. So I wonder if this is something specifically he's brought out and been saving for this tournament, because I haven't seen him do that yet. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not a build I'm extremely familiar with either. Again, either it's the fast third. We did see him do the fast third into kind of 2-on-1 that TY was doing a while back, but not that specifically. But that was brutal to watch. It is one of those things, though, similar to, remember there was a lot of 2-base all-ins from Terran? Remember that era?
Oh, yeah.
It felt like, the really good, mechanically, Terrans could do it, and then you try it on ladder and you're like, oh, this sucks. What am I doing? Why is this happening? That feels like maybe, don't do that at home, but That probably worked exactly as he wanted because he didn't have to worry about anything from Denver. And that actually might be one of Denver's weaknesses, is that I don't particularly think of him as an aggressive Zerg. I know he can, because everyone can. But there was no attempt to like hide Lings like immediately. There was no Lings even to try and bother the third base. There was that run by, which was a good idea, but it was as the attack was already happening. They both did their comfy thing, but then I think souL just had a little bit more punch, a little more surprise on his
the Bamboozle plays.
build.
And honestly, a Bamboozle is not something I expect from this Terrans. That gets me very excited, and hopefully we're seeing Denver right now. He looks a tiny bit frustrated with game number 1, but a player as good as him, as experienced as him, can reset that brain and get ready for a fresh new game. Currently down a map, but let's get into it and see if he can tie it up. In the top left here, currently up in the series, the Polish Terran from Makers. He is souL. And now I want that ZG intro. Give it to me.
All right. In the bottom right, as the red Zerg from France, he is Denver.
Not bloody bad.
Thanks, man.
Welcome.
I always wanted to be just like Maynard.
Oh my god. If you keep up that, I'm going to be out of a job. Do you want to solo cast this one? I'll just go have a bottle of water backstage.
Yeah, I got this. I got both
All right.
sides of this.
All right, excellent. Twitch chat's just like, great. Oh, thank God they got rid of him. He's already yelling.
Yeah,
It's the first game of a 6-day tournament. What is he doing?
It's like the first round, Maynard.
Yeah,
come on.
like,
You can't
come
cast this like a finals.
Like, who am I trying to impress here? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly.
stop being a try-hard idiot.
Ugh.
Ugh, God.
So Ephemeron.
Yeah.
For game number 2, we do have souL going for that 1 Rax expand, which would be the 99% of TVZs. Well,
Yeah.
no, wait, 2 Rax exists.
Yeah, 2 Rex does exist.
So,
Yeah.
not 99%.
There are still Terrans out there that still go 2-1-1 at the professional level, but they are legend.
That's
Very
hard.
rare. It's the rarest of Pokemon. You're going to find it in a very deep level of a cave after
Yeah.
many bosses.
Yeah. But Ephemeron, I mean, this is a map where I could see souL going back into, like, transferring over into mech. But it does seem like IEM had a lot of mech. It still had some bio, but it had a lot of mech. And then
The qualifiers, you mean?
IEM qualifiers, is that what I didn't say that?
You just said I am.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Anyways, yeah, the online qualifiers seem to have a lot of mech, and then it was like, oh, maybe like mech's a thing. And then casting all the, Wardy, God, casting all the bloody European stuff.
Yeah.
It was like tons of bio. Even when you wouldn't expect it, even on maps you wouldn't expect it, and it's like, oh, is mech like is it dead now? Like I don't know. And then, well, you have souL mentioning that mech shouldn't lose. I think was his words.
Yeah,
Even though it
he
does.
specifically said that the Korean Terrans looked unbeatable when they played mech against Zerg,
Yeah.
but not many Korean Terrans are actually going mech in this matchup, so it's kind of a
Right?
weird thing to say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I saw it 3 times and they won 3 times. Like, technically, souL, that is 100%, but I feel like that's a small analysis pool that you're working with there, but who am I to tell the GOAT
Yeah,
who's
really,
right or wrong,
really
right?
Maynard.
Yeah, the
Receptacle
last person in the whole world should be saying anything.
That's interesting. Why is there? Oh, it's at the 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those tricky Terrans and their SCV scouts going to the 3rd.
This is almost exactly what souL did to Denver when they last played on this map in the ESL Open, which is the last time they faced each other, where Denver did win 2-0. And he just kind of put the bunker on the 3rd base. Just because there is really, like, this is one of the few maps in the map pool, as a Zerg, you don't really have a choice of 3rd. Not really. Like, the other
not
3rd
really.
locations are terrible to defend. So souL's actually making things very awkward at the start of Denver here.
Yeah. It's a bit of a walk for the queen as well from that natural, even if she tries to immediately walk out.
She does not like being off creep.
We got 6 more Lings. That is just a deal with the bunker, but then the 4 Lings here do get in the natural, and
Yeah.
I mean, the Helene should pop, and 2 Helene's going to be enough, even with the speed finishing up here, but this is a full scout.
Yep.
Without the Overlord necessary.
Wasting a mule a little bit here, but not actual, I mean, it is technically damaged because he's denying mining time, but and the mule goes down as well, but, it's a little bit of an inexpensive run by there, inexpensive run by for the Zerg, and the bunker goes down. The Reaper and the Marine did delay that 3rd for a solid minute and a bit, so that is a good spot there. I mean, obviously Denver's going to have just a few more extra drones on 2 bases. souL is proxying a fusion core.
Oh, I mean, Overlord speed finished, right? So he's going to have to fake Cloak at least once.
Yeah, I feel like you got to I mean, he's going for multiple tech labs here, so he might start stim.
Yeah.
And play pretensies.
That's true. He did go for a Cloakless Banshee literally last game.
Correct, yeah. Oh my, I'm actually really excited by these. I love seeing mind games like this.
Oh, whoa, yeah, it's so much. Oh, it's so much. The
Yeah.
2nd barracks?
I
Well,
said-
he actually is going stim.
He's going stim, but I don't know if it's for really reals. I think he might cancel it after the Overlord's been
With a
pushed
second
out.
barracks?
I mean, yes.
Is this the 4 barracks in a mech call? Unity Apollo?
Literally Apollo. No, not quite. But there it is. Cancel stim.
Oh my god, you're the new Apollo!
Hold it.
That's crazy. I mean, you do, like, the BC is insanely expensive, so you go for an early BC, you gotta...
You need everything.
You need everything, but the idea is to eventually get stim. So that is going to be very interesting. So, okay, one important thing that happened here. So Denver is being tricked out, but he didn't see a third CC, right?
No.
Unless I'm blind. So that's already too weird. Now he sees it, but like the 2 barracks already came down. Like, I mean, I guess, okay, it's not like a 2 base all in, but this looks like now a cloakless Banshee on 2 bases into 2 barracks. Like, you got to start just being like, well, is this like Protoss Bamboozle? Is this going to be Twilight Council in the corner? Like, what could possibly go through Denver's mind when he sees a build like that?
It's a tough one to call for sure. Like, you know, seeing the starport moving like that, like you mentioned, he already got a cloakless Banshee last game. He knows stim is on the way, but it actually wouldn't be done yet if he hadn't cancelled stim at the beginning still. And he comes into that checkup, sees the BC, so now he knows about it, but it's too late to continue queen. Like, he would have had queen production in all 3 hatcheries and multiple spores if he really was scared of the BC. So it feels like souL's got a little bit of an edge here. That queen in the main is also quite damaged.
What an interesting build. I mean, the Battlecruiser now has a higher chance of doing more damage, but the Zerg players have gotten quite like used to, even when they do not scout Battlecruisers, it's still dealing with them okay. And he did build support crawlers. His Overlord also, like, that the timing of that Battlecruiser was so perfect.
And this is actually really nice for Denver because the bad part about proxying this Fusion Core means that there aren't going to be any more BCs. It's a very big investment just for one.
Yeah, but I do wonder if souL was even planning on it, right? Because when you go into bio, when we see mech, we see like maybe, well, usually 3 Battlecruisers, right? And then eventually into mass Battlecruisers. Yes, exactly, Animato. When he went into bio afterwards, it was 1, maybe 2. So, I mean, yeah, Fusion Core dying is going to take away any chance of that. So that's like not good to reveal at Denver.
Just watching this mule go around the outside like 2 trailer park girls as it repairs that battlecruiser. And here comes souL. Stim is done. Marines are on the way. Combat shield behind this, and the Hellions are to come for a walk as well. So a pretty nice timing attack from the Terran. No Baneling Nest yet for the Zerg. Scary times.
All right, yeah, the Battlecruiser can kind of cover the double drop. I mean, this is, you know, barely enough from those 2 barracks producing. That doesn't even actually fill the medevacs. But it is enough to surprise Denver, who had his units kind of every which way. His Queen brought a position as well. 8 drones immediately go down.
Yeah, Denver still doesn't have that many units. It's got 16 Lings on the way, but they're not here right now. So yes, the Marines, a lot of them will die. Medevac got picked off by the Queens. The Battlecruiser assisting in the 3rd base. The drones lining up a little bit here for the Hellions. 16 drones have gone down, 18 drones. Ooh, good start here for souL. He is in a great spot.
Yeah, those Hellions were like, I mean, that does often happen with Battlecruiser openers. It's the Hellions that do the tricky damage, but just 4 of them off to the left side, quite good. And then good read here to send the Battlecruiser over. There's no anti-air for that. Like, the Queens can't walk over that far, so that's going to be an easy cancel. Denver trying to get some pressure off of him, and onto souL goes for a run by here, which is being very effective.
Doing quite a bit of damage, not enough units at home for souL to actually take the fight, but he will get that 4th, and that's a kill, not a cancel. Big blunder there from Denver, and that natural open again. More drones going down here. souL all over the place.
This is some really cool stuff from souL, because he's opening up so differently and also keeping on that pressure that I would expect from one of the rising Terrans, right? They're always about that multitasking. Oh, the Baneling Nest!
Oh, Denver needs this to live so badly. He needs Baneling speed. He needs to make Banelings in general if he wants to stop Pyro from the Terran. souL getting into that little nestle spot here. Target fires down the Banelings as well. And it looks like that Baneling Nest will survive, so Denver is going to hold on for now. As souL, he's actually giving him a bit of breathing room here, not keeping on that pressure. He's not running across the map. He's going to get a 4th base back at home and just basically say, I'm ahead, get further ahead.
You know what's so cool about this from souL is that this is like the only TVZ that's ever possible in his bracket. Ever. Well, unless he rematches, I guess, Denver. That's true. But that, like, this would be the time to bring it out, get to Thursday, and just be like, yep. Now, like, you know, now if there's other Zergs, I'll deal with it later. But this is really sick stuff. Denver, though, certainly still has a chance to recover, but he's probably like, I mean, he's probably just like, what is this? Like, I just got to focus on my mechanics is usually a great way of trying to just get back into a game.
Oopsie.
And expanding, you know, also adapting his composition as he kind of figured things out. So he didn't really even add on any more Roaches, no Ravagers, not going for that style. He is going to go for a Spire, which has really just been brought up again in this matchup.
Yeah, you know, Denver specifically loves doing this against Terrans when they play bio, and is very, very, very good at it, but it needs to get to a certain point for it to be really effective. It's a very light army, it's a very weak army, but very fast. And souL is already preparing for that phase of the game, getting Drilling Claws, his 2nd factory as well, so going to have a lot of Widowmine production coming in shortly.
Yeah.
16 more Marines heading to that natural. Denver looks like he's a little bit more prepared, though. The Lings are already here.
And we're really sad about this, though, is that he was supply blocked. And the mutas could have been out here to try and help. No, there's only 2. not as helpful. But it's still only going to be 7 to start off with, so not really enough to help with even double medevac drops, much less start to harass, which, speaking of which, these 2 Marines getting a little bit more than they should have.
Taking one for the team.
Okay, poor Queen. She's trying to run.
Oh!
Trying to run.
Wow, that Marine. I mean, that family, obviously he's dead, but his family will get a lovely pay packet from the Terran Empire after that little performance. Picking off a Queen all by himself.
Yeah, from Minsk, yeah.
Damn. Well, souL seems super prepared for Mulus. He's spamming turret zombie grubber, and he is just getting the Thors out. He's really respecting the fact that he's even get the mech armor upgrades, which not only helps the medevacs, helps the tanks and the Thors. When they take straight on scuffles, they tank banelings. The Thor is still a pretty useful unit, even though it doesn't have that extra armor point that it used to have back in the day.
This is, I mean, it's been a little while since Denver was truly taking damage, those Marines aside. He has managed to push out the creep a lot, which does happen if you focus more on harassing the mineral lines. So that's, one thing that's certainly going for him. And he has stabilized. He got to a number of mutas that he can now take control of the map. souL had to take a breather for a while. Only for a couple seconds, probably, before he does a big push again. But yeah. I know you were talking, actually, that he's one of the Terrans that still likes the split map scenario.
He does.
Where a lot of the other Terrans, like, oh man, Warden I cast an amazing game with Clem, but like a lot of them are just like spam, bio, Widowmine, keep going, keep going, keep going, and they don't sit back and just defend like, well, souL's doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you are piling on the pressure, like say this was Clem and he was in this position, it feels like he would keep doing exactly what you just said. He would pile on the pressure and just break Denver's back and just overwhelm him with, with his production and superior control. But souL's making multiple command centers right now, and he's letting the Zerg get to Hive. If you push and push and push, the Zerg can't get to Hive comfortably. But Denver's going to be starting it very shortly here, as soon as he has the resources for it. Trying to go for a baneling run by. souL's got lots of sensor towers. That's also another big sign of a Terran that wants to slow the game way down, which I feel like is going to give Denver a chance to come back. When the Zerg has tier 3, there are a lot of tools at their disposal that are very nasty for Terran to deal with.
Not even tier 3. I mean, I was with you. Like, Denver could absolutely go into that Hive. He's on 5 bases now. But no, he's going to go for the big mid-game. The big mid-game game. Like, just a lot of mutas, Ling, Baneling, swamping your opponent, maybe even some burrowed Banelings. That's actually why I think a lot of people first liked Denver, is they did a couple of cool burrowed Baneling moments, but he needs to get back on his side of the map and actually clean this up. The mutas went offensive. That is an ideal time for drops to actually sneak in. And the oh no! Oh, well, that's bad.
Yeah, there aren't too many Mulus anymore. He's making 8 more here to replenish the ones that were lost. I think he only had 3 or 4 left over in the end. 9 Mulus went down to the Widowmines that doubled up on them with the bio assisting on that extra red hit point Mulus. And there's that Hive for Denver. So, it's a 12.5-minute Hive almost, so a very late one. Feels like this mid-game lasted a lot longer than Denver really wanted.
Oh, man. I wonder if that was just like, he was like kind of getting ready, like even maybe baiting him into a little bit more on creep, and then, then they lose all those mutas. That's tough. I was going to point out that the sides of the map are not well covered by Overlords, but now the drop phase a little bit over. Well, there's one more drop. Wouldn't mind a drop to fall. That was so dangerous. Oh my god. But he's good for that. But maybe more of a main push, but it looks like that was just a clear up creep. He's actually taking this, that was a very large run by, so he's taking this very seriously. It's going to buy Denver a lot of time.
He needs this to do damage. Oh, that drop got picked off immediately, so that's nice. He's losing a lot of SCVs. The Widowmines do connect on those links. We can't finish off the base, so the planetary will finish.
Burrow.
No, actually, does he have burrow?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So not utilizing burrow there. It's one of those things where the Zergs that were really stylish for that sort of thing, every time they pulled back from a run by, they'd leave those 2 or 4 Banelings behind. So always want to have like an even number.
Especially over those bridges. Yeah. I don't think he wants to reveal it quite yet, so I can understand not doing it like immediately. But it's going to be a pretty dedicated attack with the mutas as well. But they should be able to help take out the planetary if that is his ultimate goal.
Certainly. I mean, is Widowmine going to soften up the Lings, but it won't get those Banelings. The Banelings use the extra bit of DPS to bust down that planetary. A relatively expensive maneuver for Denver. And, he's not out of the woods either. This hatchery is so low, and he just lost a few drones there to those Widowmines. 9, actually, so it's more than a few. Feels like it's never been comfortable here for Denver, though. It feels like he's still, at this point, even with that run by, still playing catch-up. souL's on 4 bases, 70 workers. He's maxed out. Like, this is still a really all-right spot for the Terran.
Yeah, Denver, he did expand his options by going for that Hive, but now we only just now have +3 Carapace, +3 melee, and
Adrenal
as well. Still going forward, the Muta-Ling, Baneling style, even added on a bunch more mutas, and obviously that +2. That's going to be extremely strong. I do want Denver to continue creep spread just in case souL ever does power up, but souL, I mean, I feel like the momentum has shifted, right? Like, he seems to be playing the game that he wants, considering how he followed up all that aggression in the early game, but is it actually the most beneficial for him, I guess is the question I'm asking. He might just be looking to tire Denver out, which can work.
Oh, this could be a lovely run by Widdermine. Does soften up that lane count, but the natural is wide open. They split off that third base. Bio coming in from the fourth, though, here to assist. The lots of Liberators. The Banelings looking for that cluster of Bio. They do connect with a lot of them. The Liberators actually shooing away the Mutalisks themselves. Having a bunch of Banelings in the main is a bit awkward because you kind of don't want to run them into buildings and you kind of have to get rid of the production. The Planetary is also not dead. It's being repaired by mules. Denver going for the main base, where the saturation is not amazing, but he's not really droning behind this, so his drone count isn't like astronomically higher than the Terran. I feel like that was a nice move, and it definitely got really awkward there for souL, but not a game-winning maneuver.
Yeah, and that's the type of army that you do need a supremely high drone count in all your gases as well, because you're making all those
still on
Banelings.
63 drones. He hasn't made any drones in quite a while.
Yeah, so when an attack like that, it looks amazing, actually kind of falls a little flat. Like, you got to be a little scared as the Zerg player, especially if you are also taking damage, which he still is. Finally going to be cleaned up in the bottom left. I mean, he still has the Burrowed Banelings could be a thing. He still has some decent creep spread, and he is preparing for an Ultra transition, but I don't think that's... I mean, there's already Mirages and Liberators.
Yeah, souL's been not only getting upgrades, but making a lot of Liberators in this game. He made the Fusion Core. I'm assuming he has Advanced Ballistics. It didn't really... there's a lot's been going on. No, he hasn't just yet. I mean, it's a relatively expensive upgrade. The Ling's on Burrow in the main, still being very annoying. This is always something that the Terran has to respect when Burrow is done.
He wants to bait Marines so hard right there, but that many Liberators can take on mutas even with their magic box.
Yeah.
As sad as the Liberator anti-air is.
Yeah. I mean, seeing this many Liberators, do you actually forego Ultralisk Caverns for a bit?
I feel like you do. Like, the thing about Ultras and Liberators is that if Liberators aren't siege, then, you know, whatever. It's your, your choice, right?
I mean, he made the Ultra Cavern, but I mean, like, does he make Ultras?
Yeah.
We're not seeing any from him, so I think he's made the right call there. souL is getting multiple Ghost Academies, actually, so he looks like he does want to head to the nuke phase.
I do like that. But as for the Ultras, it's just like, if he slow push with Liberators, the Ultras are probably a bad idea. If he gets a surprise, Swamp, they're also decent at, like, they still kind of run with the Lings. They can take out expansions, which that right side of Ephemeron is getting more and more important as souL needs another base soon. But yeah, it is going to be one of those things where they also could just be gigantic wastes of money if they run into a couple Liberators.
This Planetary is very vulnerable to these Mutalisks. There's no turret here. Widdermine's not in range of them either. There's one in the middle of these command centers. Bio streaming on him. He gets a few SCVs there and gets out there with no losses whatsoever. So things like that are going to be how Denver gets a big lead in this game. He's got his drone count sorted out, by the way, back up to 84. Speaking of which, Liberators helping out with that for the Terran, doing a bit of damage on the bottom left of the map.
I don't think we see those Bird Banelings do anything.
I don't think so just yet.
I'm not trying to be biased for the Zerg. I'm biased for Burrowed Banelings, guys.
Yeah, they're just right there. Just a handful of Liberators here for souL. That one just going straight on top of that hatchery. This is very annoying for the Zerg to deal with.
Yeah, Denver took into account, Liberator harass on the other base, but forgot about this one. But this one didn't take into account Muta harassment that much, only a single missile turret, but Liberator is doing the, I mean, they're not particularly fast units, I suppose, but they obviously fly over things, so they can respond to Mutas.
Ooh! Oh, he scanned.
Okay.
I
think he kind of is on a Denver's tricks. Like, Denver isn't, like, always Burrowed Banelings, but if I knew that he could do it, and he does do it, then souL probably knows that as well.
Yeah, he probably plays Denver a few more times than you do.
Yeah, well,
Maybe. I mean...
You don't know me.
You don't know me. You don't watch my stream. Get out of here. But yeah, so multiple nukes being made here. The Ghosts are being made for souL. And this is where he's really scary. It's actually been brought up a lot of times that souL has one of the best TVZs, not just in Europe, but in the world. Like, his late game TVZ is very scary.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's also a different pacing than what a lot of ZVT looks like, so that can also be very intimidating. It is just like, you're going to wear yourself out attacking into me, exactly like Denver is doing. All the mutas get popped by the Liberators. Corruptor's not doing that good of a job either, but he needs to take out this ground army, and there's not that many Widdermines left over. Liberators need to get in on this action. Planetary needs to help out as well, but the Baneling number is still extremely high, and they all collapse on that Planetary. This will be a severe loss of units for Denver, though. Was that worth it?
Yeah, very, very expensive. We look at that bank, and we're seeing he just spent all of it now to remake those units. So yeah, I mean, was it worth it is a big question. I think maybe with this drone lead and maybe with the hatchery count, it was okay. Maybe it ended up being an even trade overall, but it's kind of hard to know. The maths is very fuzzy there. And that base for souL, he's had it for quite a while. It's getting a little bit mined out. The gases probably have about 1,000 in each one of those guys. So spamming those planetaries, he's still got top right. The economy of the Terran honestly still looks very, very solid. And that ghost count is at the point where he lacks it. He's been trying to send out ghosts for nukes. The last few have actually died in that engagement. This first Ghost is actually going to get inside the Zerg's infrastructure.
We have the two coolest things in this matchup, man. Burrowed Banelings and nukes. Like, yes.
You all like splash damage? Here comes some splash damage. A nuke going towards that natural here. The Corrupt is finding the planetary in the top right. That is going to be something that Denver will want to deal with soon. And souL knows that he moves his units down here to actually intercept any attempt from Denver. He's going to eat a nuke on that natural, but doesn't really hit anything except for, I think he got a Baneling. Poor there in the natural, that poor Baneling.
Didn't do anything wrong.
Went before its time. And he's starting to get more and more Ultralisks, so Space Cows are going to be something that souL sees and respect. He still hasn't gotten Advanced Ballistics, by the way. I've been looking at that production tab, he still hasn't got it. These are regular pleb libs.
That's a very good point. He probably should. I mean,
Yes.
he rebuilt a fusion core, if you remember.
Yeah, no, he literally intended to, so I know he wants it. But yeah, he's been concerned about other things here. It is a very intense TVZ, so I don't blame him for it.
Yeah, it's like extra surprising though, just because he's been harassing with it, you know. And it's usually one of those things where it's like
it has a different colored projectile. For people that don't know,
it.
when you have advanced ballistics, it's like a white beam or a light blue beam versus the yellow one.
But you really never want to in that stage. It's so annoying for the Zerg. He's like Spore Crawlers deal with it normally, and then they get the range, and it's like, no, I gotta bring my Corruptors back. This is stupid.
That's an interesting nuke.
That's a random.
This is the I want to kill the army nuke. I hope he runs here nuke.
Yeah, right.
I feel like souL's not that rich. I mean, he's got a lot of minerals, but gas-wise, like, can he spam nukes that kind of just clear creep?
I don't mind clearing creep with nukes. It's just that this isn't creep that's actually like there's creep beyond that. So you know, you don't usually start at a starting point, not the end point. Well, anyways, I mean, it might just be a distraction tactic, right? Like, where's the nuke? Where's the nuke? And it's somewhere not even important. So the drop, for instance, might have done more damage. It didn't, but you know, there still are other things happening where souL wants to move out and actually start being. Like, it's okay to take, you know, engagements, especially if you continue expanding. That top right was pretty important. But eventually you are in an army where if you're, oh my god, where you're careful about moving out,
it's a DMZ right there.
You siege everything, it is extremely difficult for the Zerg to engage directly, so they start trying to counter, and into the planetaries with building armor and all that, that's very difficult. He does have all the planetary upgrades? No.
He doesn't have high sec, but he does have building armor, which is like more important against mutalisks, but you do want high sec, you know, to have those few extra shots to melee army before they get in range. Planetary's tracking like on the turret is a little bit slow. Looks like Denver has enough DPS here, especially with the Banelings hitting it, to break down that base, forces a lift on this structure as well. Does he lose most of his army on the way through though? Big snipes from souL on the Ultras. And he does finish them off and keeps it. I mean, he has an extra command center, so we can retake that base immediately. And it did feel like this hatchery wasn't long for that world. You know, he's cleared a lot of the creep up here, so it's relatively simple for souL to bring his army and pick off this hatchery. Even just a few units really annoying Denver here, picking off some drones.
It is a little complicated just because even when you have like that really amazing army, like Splash Damage, Liberators, Ghost, if you get fully surrounded, like you're still could be in trouble. So that is a scary position for souL to put his entire army in unless he is very careful about it. But this is going to be difficult for Denver to break as souL is paying attention.
That was
Nuke, got a cancel there. 6 drones as well, and a distraction again. And now he's not only opened up that base to died, but he's also opened up the ramp to the 4th, 5th, whatever you want to call it. Which is, I mean, if Denver goes down that ramp, he is going to die.
Man, these ghosts just... You don't see ghosts late game TVZ too often anymore. souL's still flying the flag for the late game ghosts, and you just see when the snipes do connect, the Ultras die so damn fast.
Yeah, it's a very good army against, especially like a few big targets. Ling, Baneling can still try its best, but there's also so many Widow Mines. He's still got that big field, and this nuke was not paid attention to, so it's once again going to get just a handful of drones, maybe eventually some of those tech structures as well. Denver is trying to crumble under pressure. He's trying to keep up with those counters, but as I was saying, it's so difficult to actually bust this if they have Liberators or just an army here.
Oh, he's going to get that planetary. The mass repair is enough, though. Oh, Denver really needed this base to die. Oh, man. And he lost two. Like, he basically took a big hit at the nuke there at the 3rd base. Also, the bottom left base got picked out, and there was 38 drones oversaturated on that mineral line. So many... What?
Okay.
Is this the get out nuke?
Get out
GG. souL with a 2-0 victory against Denver. In the Players' Lounge, he told me easy. And that second game definitely didn't look that easy. But that was certainly a one-sided couple games, honestly. Like, the second game went for a long time, but it felt like Denver wasn't actually in the advantageous spot at any point.